for the longest time, how many years have we studied English? How many times have we taken up English as part of the basic education curriculum? And even in college, we have only one English class, which is proposing communication. But all of our classes with or the medium of instruction is English is considered an English class. So first, let's identify how are we going to communicate ideas fluently. So usually in our class, in oral communication classes, yes, I acknowledge Sir Stanley is a skill. Like, just to encourage you, okay? Just to encourage everyone here. You may say that, oh, maybe the reason why I could speak this way, or maybe I could deliver this way, or maybe how our MCs here are able to deliver it the way they deliver it is because they are gifted. No, they are not gifted, right? They just know that they needed the skill and they have acquired the skill. And it's like you were not born to ride a bicycle. Like you were not born that you can already ride a bicycle. You got interested. I want to ride my bicycle. Oh, don't let me sing. Okay. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride a bike. Then I tried riding a bicycle. I stumbled. Others judge me. You cannot ride a bike. You cannot even balance. Yeah. But I have to move forward. I have to reach my goal. The second, speak with clear pronunciation. And a lot of us would look at speakers and we'd say, wow, nice accent. Wow, nice pronunciation. But are you aware that it could be learned? And are you aware that pronunciation can be practiced and can be polished? Maybe now you have this particular accent, but pronunciation can really be achieved. Try to take a look at I think my back-some students would agree with this. It takes confidence. Of course, we go to the next one, communicating ideas with confidence. As I tried looking at, usually in oral communication, for us to know how well we are doing in oral communication, in our oral skills, we usually ask teachers or maybe someone, try to listen to me on how I say this, and then comment. But during this pandemic, we don't usually have that someone with us. Oh, lika, practice tayo. Like, listen to how I'm going to say this and please comment. We don't have that. So, what do we have? You have your cell phone. Every day I always see whenever I travel, I always see people watching TikTok. I always see people watching movies or whatsoever. Why don't we use the time that we use for that, in acquiring a skill? Like during the pandemic, what skill have you acquired? What skill have you acquired during the pandemic for the past 2.5 years? Or 2.5 years. Right? What have you learned? Or you just love watching? I am not saying watching is not good, because it's also one of my suggestions. Watch good films. Watch good vlogs. So one problem that we have, I would want to go back, although I'm the one who always contradict this dictum or this particular adage. So practice makes a person perfect. And it's quite impossible, like practice makes perfect. But I would say that practice makes us consistent. Like what I told you a while ago, I was not a gifted speaker. It was my biggest problem. I started teaching, when I started teaching more than 2 decades ago, I had this fear of speaking. My first day in class, I was trembling. Although I know I could deliver, the problem was like, I didn't have that confidence. I was not sure about my pronunciation. I was not sure about if I could deliver what I want to deliver. maybe for 21 years. I, I was able to practice. So sorry, it took you 21 years. No, not really 21 years, but if you're going to look at it, like it's a constant search for how to make us better. But the good thing about our situation now is we now have technology. And this technology has provided us with an avenue to practice, with an avenue for us to organize our ideas, with an avenue to check where we are failing. So, sorry, the keyboard is really sensitive. So, what is organization? How are we going to communicate ideas fluently? We start with organizing ideas. So, Satori, sorry, I lost one of the pictures here. So, Satori allows users to customize stories. We start with organizing our thoughts. We start with how are we going to organize our thoughts. So, if you cannot yet start with bigger ideas, start with stories. How are you going to organize stories? Chronological. So you start putting in your stories. Start organizing ideas. Try to put, if you cannot, some of us or a lot of people here are very visual. So we try to focus on putting text, or sorry, putting images first and organizing images. I know a lot of you are into reading mangas. So, so what can Satori do? Satori can be an organizer of ideas and not just an organizer. So usually we can use even Microsoft Word as an organizer. We put all our thoughts there. But this one is while we are organizing, we can already add links. So when we're adding links, we know that we're not just only using our thoughts, but also we're putting the sources. Aside from that, we can also use it to create essay and of course to create speeches, to write speeches. So students can organize their thoughts and ideas to be delivered orally. But what about if it is not prepared? So that's one problem that we have. I'll be giving you a solution later. So this is for prepared organization. So you organize your thoughts, you outline your thoughts, you write your ideas, you deliver your ideas. But later, how are we going to exercise impromptu or extempo? Another tool that we can use, sorry for my keyboard. I was able to chance upon this one. This one is conversation practice. How are we going to practice? So by the word itself, so I'm not talking about, so this particular English conversation practice, it would allow you to respond. So you can assume, like you can, if you want, you can choose whom would you like to be as a partner, or I want to be Katie, or Kathy, or I want to be the dad. So there would be exchanges, and you would be prompted on how to reply. So it's not just parroting. A lot of people will say this is just parroting the conversation, but it would also give you an idea on how native speakers use the language. So you would notice that in this conversation, the use of fragments, phrases are accepted. So here, delivery, you would be able to practice delivery, fluidity of the language, and then later on, you can already have your own skills. So aside from that, you can record, you can see it on top, you can You can press the recording so you can hear if you're pronouncing the sounds well, or if you're enunciating. And you can also take a quiz if you understood the conversation. So for the freshman, I'm not sure if the freshman will be taking the TOEIC test. So this is also a good preparation for you. Especially for the TOEIC exam, we have the listening skill. We know that it's a linear process from listening to speaking, from the oral skill to the oral skill. So I'm not referring to frozen here, but we have ELSA. ELSA is a tool that would help us to speak English like a native speaker. The good thing, although there is what you call the premium, I tried looking for some feedbacks, some tools like this one. You have here some how would I call this, free features of ELSA, and I think that would be more than enough for you to practice your English. So what are those features? You can record. After recording, you would be able to, or there would be a feedback that you are not able to pronounce some of the sounds. So there would be a feedback what particular sound was mispronounced, and you would see here, just like in one of the pictures here, you would see here that 64% correct. So it means that there are still sounds that are not yet well pronounced. So aside from that one, you also have other practices like video tutorials on how to pronounce the English sounds. I don't know if I have English majors here. If you're familiar with IPA, so what if I don't have this app? Or what if I don't have this app? You would know, or what after using this app, I don't have this app anymore. But this one would help you. Look at these symbols. The symbols that are presented here are the symbols in the sound. So if you're using dictionaries like Oxford and Stanford, like the one that uses IPA or the International Phonetic Alphabet, you would be able to pronounce. So, and aside from that one, we're not only focusing on the pronunciation. Right? We're not only focusing on how you promote or how you produce the sound. We also have here listening skills. We also have word stresses, intonation, and then fluency. As much as I want to discuss all of these components, okay, so maybe one time we could have one seminar focusing more on pronunciation. So word stressing, a very, very important aspect in accent neutralization. The same with intonation. So how are we going to develop this confidence? Like what Sir Stan said a while ago, practice. The first tip is practice. The second is practice. The third is practice. It means that it's like a skill that if you don't use the skill, it would atrophize. So just like your muscle, if you don't use a muscle, you're bedridden for more than a month, you would notice that there is what you call the atrophizing, the muscle atrophies. So here, what is the use? This is a stimular, and the good thing about stimular is it prepares you for a bigger speaking engagement. So why a bigger speaking engagement? It's not going to make you speak of things that you don't know yet, or maybe things that you are afraid to talk about. You would notice that in the theme practice, it starts with the family. It starts with something close to you, or things that are close to you. What does it do? So it gives you questions, and the questions are technically prompts. Prompts for what? For impromptu speaking, or maybe extemporaneous, because it can be timed. You can put the timer before you start speaking. And then after that one, you record. After the recording, it gives you a feedback. Aside from vocabulary, we also have there how fast do you speak? Is it uh, is the pace, because the pace depends on what you are saying. You can move or you can speak very fast, or sometimes you can also slow down. But it would tell you what the right pacing is. So it doesn't mean that you have already the fluidity of the language, that you could already speak very fast. There are times that you have to slow down to make the ideas clearer. So we also have there the clarity. So this is for pronunciation and enunciation of the words. And because what are these anomalies? Anomalies are pillars. So we know that pillars are normal in what we call speech, or natural speech is normal for us to have pillars. But if your pillars are, how would they call this? You have a lot of pillars. That every line you have an it also monitors. So it tells you like how many do we have, how many ahs, those anomalies. And these anomalies are recorded. Mm. These anomalies are spotted, and yeah, we have what we call the non-word pillars, and we also have the word pillars. So what are those pillars? Like in non-word pillars, we have the and then for the word pillars, like in Filipino, we have the ano. If you cannot remember the word, we insert ano, and all. It depends on what word you have got used to using as a filler. So it's very limited, but what I would encourage you when it comes to oral skill is try to take note that every day we have a lot of applications online. Like whether we're using Android, some of the applications you don't need to use the internet. After you have downloaded, you could start practicing. Others would make use of the internet. Try to find the application that suits you. Sometimes some applications, for example, like some paid applications would suit or really offer you the full features of the program. But of course, you have to pay. But it doesn't mean that you won't be able to find something that would suit your budget and something that would suit your needs. I tried looking. I tried looking at the list in Android Play Store. Uh, I have seen a lot. I wanted to try them. I wanted to explore them, but it seems like since there are a lot of them, like I just focus on things that uh, the application with a lot of good feedbacks. So we have. Oh, I gave you only 4 here, but try to explore more. So you are not limited to this. Okay. So let's go to one skill that a lot of us fear, and what is that? Reading. Okay. I tried organizing my ideas or my this particular workshop by looking at the traditional. Um, what do you mean by traditional? The way we take down notes, the way we read before, how do we read, how do we remember what we have read, and then now what technology has to offer. And while I was looking for other sources, I was able to chance upon something because one problem that we have whenever we read on the screen is the effect of the screen on our eyes. And after reading for just few minutes, you don't want to read anymore. So I was able to find a solution for that. And I know those have problems those have problems with reading, not only the comprehension, but looking at words. Sometimes when you're reading, you don't have any problems with the eyes really tired. So, so it means only one thing. Technology has given us a solution for every problem that we have. So let's try to revisit what reading is. So before we go, let's try to have a short survey here. So you may use the chat to respond. Just say yes, or just say no, or yeah, just say yes or no. So do you read without purpose? Do you read without purpose? Oh, we have some people with no here. So it means some would read and they don't know what they want to do with what they're reading. Oh, I see familiar names here. So, second question, do you read, and reread, and still not understand? Wow, a very honest, a very honest answer here. Yes. Sometimes it frustrates us. It's quite frustrating that after reading, it seems like we have not understood anything at all. But don't worry. Don't worry. It's normal. It depends, really depends on what you're reading and, of course, your preparation for reading. So, do you read and get distracted? Sometimes, yes. How do you counter this? How do you counter distraction? Let's get to the next question. Do you read and become confused? They say that when you read, the more enlightened you would become. But it seems like the more we read, the more confused we get. Wow. I have really a good crowd, a good audience here, right? When the words are not familiar, I have an answer. I was about to say Dora, kaya tinanong ko si Dory. Like, you have to reread it. Is rereading wrong? A lot of people would say like, rereading, don't reread, go and continue reading. I would say just like, if you don't understand something, just try to continue reading. Okay, just try to continue reading because the next part would make you, or maybe some parts in the passage would help you understand the one that you were not able to understand. But that would also help you. Just continue. We read later. If you really still couldn't understand, we read after you have finished. So maybe one time we can have one. Ako na nag-suggest ng ano, ng training, no? We can have one training for speed reading. And how to read fast for us to maximize not only the time but also our comprehension. So read and not do well in discussion, on tests or quizzes. Right? Cram reading right before major test. Or guilty as charged. Right? Oh, I have JC here. Right? Oh, may inaanak. So, so, and how about, do you not read before the class? Or you only read before the class? Or sometimes when you are given an assignment, read read about this. I won't read that one. Anyway, the professor will discuss that. Okay, the professor will discuss that. But take note, that would help you understand better the professor. If you have not understood what you have read, I think I have a question here. Is that a question or a false raising hands, false alarm? So first, we have to establish why we read. So although a lot of us are reading without any purpose, but we have to establish what we are reading. And first, what are some of the purpose why we read? To grasp a certain message. And sometimes we have to read the message again because sometimes without the context, we tend to miss out on something. So to find important details, to answer a specific question, to evaluate what you are reading, to apply what you are reading, and of course, to be entertained. I do hope that there are still students here who are reading for pleasure. How many do we still? I do hope we still have those students who are reading not because they want to. That is required, but it's something like a pastime instead of just wasting time watching. I'm not saying TikTok is wrong. Like, I'm not saying TikTok is wrong. Okay, some contents are good, but I'm not saying all contents are good. Okay, you also need to evaluate whom are you going to follow. So it allows you to make appropriate adjustment. What am I reading? Am I reading to take the test? Am I reading just to be entertained? Or your strategies would change or would be adjusted. It depends on the purpose that you have established. So in college, you read to get, analyze, evaluate, and apply information. This is the most common thing that we have. Like when we were in elementary in the younger years, we started with the skill like reading to learn. Learning to read level. We acquired the skills when we were in elementary. And then now that I do hope that we have already acquired the skills, that we are using now the skills. Maybe around 2004, year 2004, when we had this reading program here at the University of Makati. And we tested the reading level of the students. But those are first year students, freshmen. And we tried evaluating their reading level. And the reading level of freshman students during that time was grade 3. It means that a lot of students have not achieved reading competencies yet. Just like what I said, like if you feel that you are lagging behind reading, start now. If you feel that you're lagging behind your reading assignments, don't wait for tomorrow. Why? You're missing a lot. Why some students are able to recite it because they have read something. Why students are able to accomplish something greater is because uh, they have read something about it. Why is it that some of you would wonder why some of your professors could talk about almost any topic aside from the topic that they are discussing in class? It's because they have read a lot. And they are not just limited to the topic or to their specialization. Use a planner. Like later, we'll try to revisit some of the planners. I'm not saying that these are new. Like a lot of you are using these organizers. So use earplugs to block the noise, but just be careful. Don't use earplugs when you're outside. So, so just make sure that you're in a safe place and make sure that you know if your mom is calling you. Right? Lagot kayo sa nanay nyo. So find a quiet place for some or somewhere. Sorry for the space. Not prone to distraction. So find a quiet place or somewhere not prone to distraction. I don't know where people would go to coffee shops and would read in coffee shops. I don't know, maybe because of my habit. And why are you smiling? You're guilty. Have someone here who is guilty. Why we go to coffee shops and we read in coffee shops? I tried doing that, and I hated it. Why? Expensive. I have to buy a cup of coffee for more than 150 pesos. I have to sit down at one corner. No, I'm not complaining about that. Part of it is the noise. Some of you would just go to coffee shops for you to drink coffee. And I think um, I owe Sir Stan a coffee time. Because we still need to discuss something over a cup of coffee. But you can also read over a cup of coffee. That's a good. I always do that one in the morning. Well, okay, and another like prepare yourself for reading. One problem that we have is we just like, oh, I need to read something. You sit down, you try to focus on what you're reading, but you notice that you're not really focusing. Why you're not really understanding? Because you're failing on the focus. So how are we going to some more tips? Traditional tips, but you would find certain program on the internet or even on Android, iOS that will help you monitor this. Take breaks. Why take breaks? If you feel that you're already exhausted reading, don't continue reading. Right? Pause for a while. Do yourself a favor. You're exerting a lot of effort, yet you're not accomplishing anything. So start with this. Try not to read for more than an hour at a time. So when you feel that your eyes are already tired, rest for a while. And don't just focus on one type of reading. Don't focus on only one type of reading material. Find several types. And of course, adjust your reading rate. The reading rate is adjusted based on the type of reading materials that we are reading. So let's skip this one. We're very much familiar with why we are reading. But let me focus on the strategies because these strategies are time-tested strategies in reading. But even now, when you go to the education class for assessment and teaching of reading, you would notice that we still discuss these things. These things are time-tested time-tested tools that we're using. But of course, since we now have technology, we are going to transform this into what we could find in technology. So SQ3R is a type, before you read, okay, we fail to prepare ourselves for reading. So failure to prepare in reading. So this one would prepare us that at SQ3R is a strategy that we use for pre-reading, during reading, and post-reading. So before you read, what are you going to do? While you're reading, after reading, what are you going to do next? So we have the SQ3R survey question, read, recite, review. Although I have prepared slides for this, so let me just have, what are we going to do to survey? It's like going to a certain place. If you'll be driving and you want to go to a certain place, uh, you don't just drive and go to that place. Sometimes you ask people the best place or the best uh, road to take, or what particular road should they take, which one is better, which one is safer, and which one is dangerous. We also ask that. So the same, when we're reading, what do? We survey what we're going to read. How many pages? Who is the author? What's the title? Do we have headings? We try to take a look at the headings. Or sometimes we also go to the summary and check the summary. The summary would help us. The summary would help us, just like researches when we're looking or when we're populating our related literature. Since I already have my my advices in research here, so let me just focus this one. When you're reading a literature or a study, you don't read the literature, everything about the literature. You go first to the abstract. Right? But that would help you survey. Is this research good for my paper? Read the abstract. Oh, it's good for my paper. Then you go to the conclusion. You go to the findings, the conclusion. Oh, it's right for my paper. So that's the time you go and read the details. So next question. Question. You start forming question. What is the title about? What is the reading passage about? If it is a story, try also to predict. Try also to predict. If you'll be reading a story after you're introduced or after you have seen some names in the story, you try to ask questions. Who are these people? What are they going to do? You can also ask, like, what would happen? But what if your prediction is wrong? It's okay. Why? You're able to negate something, and therefore you would be able to remember that. And questioning is not only done at the beginning. You can also question before you go to the next level or before you go to the next part. You can also start questioning. Or you can also have questions after. Just like watching telenovela. After a certain episode, you ask, what would happen to the character? Or maybe you would ask, who's the culprit? Who's the murderer? Or so is this particular character the murderer? What have you noticed about your comprehension in that story? Your comprehension of the story. The more excited you become, the more interactive you become. You're not just watching. Because what we after for reading is for us to be interactive. Right? We have to interact. So read, try to find the answer to the questions that you have formed. Answer questions at the beginning and the end of the chapter or the study guide. That's why some teachers would give you a study guide or a guide question or guide questions before you start reading. Use those.
So if your professor has already given you something like uh, questions that you would answer after the after reading to check your comprehension, read those first. So we read captions, and those captions are not just put there for design. Those captions are there for you to better understand pictures and graphs. Underlined words, italicized words, words in bold, etc., are not just there for the design. They serve purposes. So let's go to the next. Recite. After reading, what do you do? So you already recite. Sometimes we do that. What happened? What is this? What can you remember? If you have guide questions, you start also answering the guide questions if you want to. Reviewing. Uh, I always tell my students that don't review for a day. Like, if you review for a day before the exam, you're cramming. I was asked by one of the participants here. I'm not going to mention her name. Like, how do you study? Or how did you study when you were a student? I said, 2 weeks before the exam. I mean, 2 weeks before the exam, you're already studying. You don't even know what's going to be covered by the exam. Yeah, I start with reading. Right? Reading the notes. Uh, if I have time, I would read some notes. I would just browse, would just check if I still have some questions in my mind. I would go back and read. Um, it's not something that we do for a day. The reviewing part. Now here, there's a website. I saw one organizer that we could do. It would help us organize our SQ3R. Um, this is actually a website that gives you a template, like survey. It gives you what to survey. It gives you a guide question on how to survey. The same with question and the 3 Rs. I think a lot of it last night I was having after creating my PowerPoint, um, I asked my daughter, to, can you make my presentation better? But it seems like I was having problem using Canva, although Canva is very user friendly. So maybe I'm more into using PowerPoint. So she converted my PowerPoint to Canva. Um, I'll just show you some of the things that we're using before. Now, we have mind mapping. This is how we mind map, right? We use manually or sometimes in the classroom when we have a meeting. So what are we going to do? So we use mind mapping or map. Right? We also have organizers that look like this. We have also diagrams. My English majors here, can you still recall tree diagramming, morphological analysis, or syntax diagramming? So we usually do it manually. We also have more. This is still manual. Why this is still manual? We just put the ideas there. Right? We also use diagrams like Venn diagrams. Solution. I think a lot of you are very familiar with Canva. I don't want to elaborate on what Canva would do. Uh, and some students, even if they have only the basic account, would make really good use of Canva. During presentation, like this morning, I was able to talk to a friend, and she told me that like one of our kids started using Canva, and it seems like the teachers really appreciate the use of Canva. But Canva is not only about presentation. What I have noticed about students, they just use Canva for presentation, but it's a whole lot more. So aside from presentation, we also have these organizers that we can see on Canva. So if you want to create a concept map and you want to more or less, especially for those who are visual, you want to see the concept, you can put them here, right? You can start organizing here. And the good thing about Canva, if you want to put one concept, you want to move, you can just click and drag. Um, this is my task for the next coming days. I would make myself efficient, proficient in the use of Canva. Mm. So we have also the charts. We have this visual paradigm, but this visual paradigm, it's freeware. There is also free component. You can also use this one. But if you already have Canva, you don't need to download this one. Okay, who among you are reviewing using resources uploaded online? Okay. Who among you are reviewing using resources uploaded online? And you would notice that you would have flashcards. Traditionally, this is what we do. So those who are from the old school here, the professors in the audience, how do we review? So we have our index cards. We write on the front part the word, and on the back part the meaning. Sometimes we put the concept and then the description at the back. And then we interchange. So we read the definition, we review. But of course, we now have technology, and we have what is Study Smarter? The good thing about Study Smarter is not only on the use of flashcards. You can upload your notes. You can upload your notes. You can use Study Smart for you to organize your notes. And aside from that one, you can also use this one for you to review. And part of this, like quizzes and other online applications like this, you would be able to also to take a quiz. You can make it also transform it into a quiz. Though we have the premium package, but I think for students, the free or the basic package or the free package is already good enough. Okay, so you don't need to get the full package. So taking down notes, right? Very tedious. But I know some students are still into the traditional. I was looking for some note-taking applications, and while I was looking at these applications, I tried evaluating which particular application is good at what it claims to do. So this application claims that it could highlight, it could do this one. So quick and easy to use. Of course, what we after now is user friendliness, and access it from anywhere on any device at any time, like across across the platform. If you're using your cell phone, you can use it. You can still access your notes. Aside from that one, if you're using your desktop or your tablet, you can still access those notes that you have taken down. So of course, value for money. But for us, value for money is like, I don't want to spend anything. There are freewares that we could use. So the value for the money there would be like no money involved at all. Just download. Okay, so if you have your Microsoft Office, So Microsoft OneNote is part of that one. And part of the use of this Microsoft OneNote is you can organize it like a folder. Uh, You can see here, the colors. These are tabs. If you want to organize your notes, you can use this one. So let's say your English class, your mathematics notes, um, or your notes for this week for one particular class. Everything is easy to organize here. So another one is Google Keep. It's also part of the Google Suite. Uh, if you're using your UMak account or any Google Gmail account, you would be able to use this Google Keep. And it's across also the platform for Android, iOS, web, and then Chrome, especially Chrome. Okay. Who among you have experienced going to bookstores and looking for highlighters? Mhm. There's a famous highlighter brand. What particular highlighter brand? Sometimes students will, yeah, Stabilo. And we now have the smaller, right, uh, handier type of Stabilo. Mas maliit, mas maganda. So we have that. Like this is traditional. So a lot of us are now into, most of our notes are digital. Most of our resources are web. Like we have the website for our notes. I still remember when I started using highlighter. I got so excited with highlighter. So my whole notes would look like uh, psychedelic, or how would they call that? A rainbow. So one line is green, another one is pink, yellow. I think I bought something like 4 colors of Stabilo, and I have to use all of those. And then while I was reviewing, it seems like the more confused I get. So don't get highlighter happy. Right? Don't get highlighter happy. But what are we going to do? What tool can we use? This one I love using liner. If I if I'm using if only I'm using my desktop now, you would see that whenever I hover on a text online, this symbol, the symbol of liner, you can see that it would appear. And then when I start highlighting, it's not only highlighting the website, it's keeping your notes. That's a good thing about liner. When you highlight, what does it do?
Wala, kinain niya yung ano yung biscuit kagahapon eh.
Ano daw, yung may kinain. May kinain daw. So, if you highlight something, what happens to the words that you highlight? It doesn't just stay, or the words do not just stay on the page. The highlighted text do not just stay on the page. What happens to it?
Ang kagabi? Ikaw meron ka na?
Guys, pakimute nga yung... Sorry. Okay, so when you highlight, what happens to the words or to the text that you highlighted? It goes to the program. Okay, so this one is, you can download or you can use this one as a tool using your Google Chrome, and then you can just highlight. After you highlight, you would notice that it would be part now of your notes. So for today, what did you highlight? What were you able to read? You can go back. You can go back and check. And then from there, you can also download that one and you can organize it and put it back to your OneNote application or whatever application you're using. By the way, this particular tool is not only for text, it could also be for videos. So if you're asked to watch a video on YouTube, you can also highlight certain videos or certain parts of the videos. So when you see an important aspect or important part of the video, what you can do is to highlight that part and you can take down notes. Okay? Isn't it great that you're not only taking down notes, but you are putting the notes on the video. So when you want to rewatch, you can just go back. You can just go back and see your notes. So annotation tools. So we have Noteledge, which is also you can get free from the uh, from the Microsoft Store. If you're using Microsoft, this one can be used for taking down notes. So it works like the traditional margin, the traditional marginal notes that we're using. If you have your books, usually you write notes on the margin. This one also works as like a marginal note. Okay, I need to know how many of you have downloaded a dictionary, or I think it should be the opposite. How many of you have not downloaded a dictionary on your Android or your smartphone? Those who do not have a dictionary. Uy, meron pa rin. Try to start downloading, or maybe no, like I would say don't download one anymore. I'll be giving you a better option like than a dictionary. But let's try to look at what a dictionary could do. So, what a dictionary could do, it would help you with synonyms, it would help you with antonyms, there are explanations on the usages, there are examples on how to use the words. Those are the things that we use in the dictionary. Those are the uses of a dictionary. You should remember 25 years ago when I was a student, I would have a big backpack. I really need to bring with me a big backpack. How big? Like, why? I have to bring my dictionary. Especially if you're an English major, you really have to bring your dictionary. I don't want to settle with smaller ones. I want to bring my collegiate dictionary, the Merriam-Webster's collegiate dictionary. It's big. I have to bring it with me. Thank God we have this technology now that Merriam-Webster is just part of my cell phone now. So before we go online, if we want to use the online, we download the application for us to check the words, not only the words, of course, also the pronunciation. The dictionaries would also provide us with pronunciation. Some are with the voice, you can just click, and then others you are given the International Phonetic Alphabet or the phonetic transcription, which you could decipher for you to read the notes. So before we use the dictionaries, but let me introduce you something. Those who are having problems with vocabulary, why you don't want to read a lot of difficult words. Some words you are familiar with, but it seems like in this particular context, the meaning is different. We have a solution to that. I was able to chance upon Rewardify in one of the seminars that I attended before the pandemic. Right? It was before the pandemic. So it was a seminar for teachers. Um, but I'm not saying this is only for teachers. This is for everyone who would like to read. Um, why? Because we have reading level, or we have the reading grade level, and the grade level would tell us what particular reading material should we be reading. Example, like if your reading level is grade 6.8 or grade 6.9, it means that, take note, this is grade 6. You should be able to read Harry Potter with ease. So if you have a reading level like grade 9, you would be able to read something like Lord of the Rings. No. So the problem is our grade level, or would the reading material suit our reading level when it comes to vocabulary? And Rewardify is our answer to this. Very, very powerful tool. And not only that one, like what I told you, like why spend for something when you can get it free online? So this one is a website that acts like an app. It's an application because it's not only cut and paste or copy and paste thing. You don't just paste the text here. So it has something more. So you go to rewardify.com, look for context clues to aid learning new words. So if you have a passage that you cannot understand, there are words that you cannot understand, this would help you. And not only that one, if you have the internet and you have the browser, this one would work for you. If you have your cell phone, this one would work for you. I know a lot of students are using their cell phones to read. This one would help you too. So what does Rewardify? What does Rewardify do? Simplify, highlight, and teach. So it simplifies the word, it highlights the word, and it teaches you what the word is. So simplifying harder English by replacing hard words with phrases, okay, or and phrases, hard words and hard phrases with easier ones. So if you encounter one word and you're not familiar with the word, this one would help you. Okay, one thing about Rewardify and dictionary. So in dictionaries, we still doubt the meaning. Right? We still have problems with the meaning. But later, we'll see some of the features that would really get you excited to go into reading. So first, highlight the replaced words. Okay, highlights the replaced words, showing the original ones. So if you hover or you click the highlighted word, it gives you the original word. Identifies all the hard words. How are they able to check if it is a hard word? Okay, this one big question. Well, this is the power of artificial intelligence. Right? They are able to identify words. They are able to identify 34,300 difficult words and phrases. And if these words are in the text, automatically these words are converted into meaning or are converted into the context. Take note of my term, the context of what you are reading. So whether you're dealing with long words, more complicated words, even if you're dealing with complicated words, these words are technically converted for you. Okay, hard English, more accessible. Not only more accessible, more convenient. We don't need to get the dictionary and search. Automatically, it identifies the hard words and convert the hard words. So Independent learning, you don't need to ask. That would help you with your comprehension. And the best thing here, uh, alternative to dictionaries. So, by the way, also for visual learners because of the highlights. And sometimes those words are also important words that you have to take note of. So, is that, how would they call this? It's not applicable for lower level. Why is that applicable for lower grade levels? Because the target of this one is the population of most adults in the United States. Something like most adults would read with the level of grade 6. So it means that it targets around grade 5, 6, 7 level. And I know a lot of you, most of you are able to read in that level. That's why this one would really help you. But let's try to see how the traditional, we look at the meaning, but what's the problem with the meaning? Look at this example, zestful. What have you noticed about the definition? Right? Click, right? You're looking for the definition of zestful because you don't know the meaning of zest. And it gives you zest as a definition. It doesn't really help. So you look for those meaning or the meaning in the dictionary, you scan the definition, you analyze them, you pick the definition that is more relevant, and then you go back to the original text. This is how rewardify rewards. This is how rewardify works. So let's say the word zestful in the dictionary, full of zest. Rewardify would give you the context. And what is that? Cheerful, energetic. It simplifies difficult words. What does a dictionary do? It gives you the meaning. Unfortunately, it gives you also a harder definition. Sad truth, right? You're asking for someone for a definition for you to understand the word, and the person gives you a word that you don't understand still. You still don't understand. So this one gives you a much simpler one. So this the context. So the good thing about this, it's not only just translating the word, it also tells you the context. So it will not translate if the context tells the program that it should not be translated. It will not be translated. Okay. Just skip this comparison. We have seen the comparison. Let's try to see how it's used. So while I'm demonstrating this one, or while I'm projecting this one, I want you to focus on this because this one will be your output for this workshop. So you're going to use your web browser. Go to Rewardify. Okay. Go to rewardify.com. And then it would give you a very simple website like this. So first, what you could do is you could just copy and paste the text. You can just copy and paste the text. So I have this text. The site is replete with ways to improve your lexical knowledge. So just paste it, click Rewardify, and then it gives you this one. The site is full of ways to improve your word-based knowledge. When you hover through it, or when you click the highlighted text, it gives you the original text, the one that was replaced. And the best thing about this, it would also tell you, or to also give you the statistics. It gives you the statistics, how hard the text is, like what are the words that are used. This is color coded. So you have an article here, you have a noun, you have a verb. And so if you're still learning, if you're still, especially my English majors, those who are studying syntax, you need this one for you to better understand the purpose uh, or the function of of a particular word. So hover through it or click it, then the original word would come out. Mm. Now, websites. Sometimes it's very hard when if you want to just read from the website. And I want to read from the website straight. I don't want to copy and paste the words from the website to Rewardify, and then read. And I want to read straight from the source. Rewardify could do that. This is the good thing about Rewardify. Get the link. I have here an example. So this is the website, the Linguistic Society of America, and I got the link, the URL, paste the URL, automatically the website would um, would detect if it is a website. And then you can rewardify web page and display it, or rewardify web page text only. So just the text or just the web page. This is how the rewardified web page looks like. Although some of the text were changed, even let's say resources uh, were translated, but still it would be easier for you to read now. Linguistics. You see the word linguistics was translated here, the study of language. So the advantages. Right? So for those who are having problems, aside from helping you read better and understand and avoid confusion when it comes to the context, this one is totally free. Okay, no ads, no personal information will be getting. So you're safe. You're online safe. You don't need a password. You don't need a username. And it would aid in faster understanding and, of course, clearer understanding of what hard words mean. Sure, wrap up. We're done? Not yet. I still have one site. One problem in reading, especially not only the text, especially for those who are using the screen for reading, is a problem of fixation. So a reader is able to read faster if the eye makes a fewer number of fixations per minute. But what's the problem? Because of the glare, because of the font, because of a lot of things on the screen, we have a lot of distractions and a lot of fixations. And since this particular eye fixation that I'm referring to is a physiological process, it involves the body. So it's a physiological process that occurs naturally, and you can increase your reading pace by ensuring that fewer numbers of eye fixations are required for reading a particular sentence. So if you're jumping from one word to another, you're slower. If you're jumping from one fixed point and then another, your reading speed would be faster, and the distraction is also lesser. So let's try to see what this program is. It's Bionic Reading. It has, you can download Bionic Reading on Apple Store, Google App. You can also use the web base or the web application, and also the Bionic Reading extension. You can put the extension on Chrome and automatically it would activate bionic reading. But what is bionic reading? So, I tried looking at the comments for bionic reading, and some of the comments say like useless, uh, not really helping. Some comments are there like not really helping, not really working. Um, but if you're going to use this one and use it repeatedly, your mind or your eyes would be trained to go through the text faster. And you would notice that if you're reading, uh, I'm not sure how it looks like on your screen right now, but since this one is just cropped, so the resolution is not that good. But if you're going to use this one, you would notice that when you're reading, your eyes are jumping from one thought units to another. When I first saw this one, they should have developed this. They should have developed this one years before. Right? Especially for those with eye problems, this one would help you. Okay? So we go to the second part of our program. Okay, so I would give the floor to the TBL Hub team to facilitate the workshop. What would be the workshop? I want you to try Rewardify. Right? I want you, those who have of course, you have your cell phones with you. You have your notes with you, your notes in your classes, or maybe the handouts that were given out to you. Use those for you to come up with the output for this. After the workshop, we'll be calling 5, am I right? 5 students to share, and these students will be getting an incentive from us. Okay, so please try to get excited with this the way I got excited with it. I was really excited with this one because I know it would also help me as a professor and as much as it would help my students understand. Okay, so thank you very much for listening and see you again in the next coming TBL Hub seminars. And if you have questions, so you may use the chat box for questions, and I have here the TBL Hub team to answer the questions. Okay, so thank you very much and have a pleasant day. Thank you very much. God bless.
There you have it, guys. Thank you so much, Dr. Alvin De Guzman. Thank you, sir. At this juncture, sir, before we proceed with the next portion,
we are opening the chat box or our open forum for the question from our participants. So if you have any question, feel free to put your questions on our chat box and our YouTube live since we transition from Facebook to YouTube live.
there would be, kasi there was a bug sa Facebook. That is the reason why we went to the YouTube live of Computer Society. Ayan, so if you have any questions, you may put it in our chat box. Ayan, so hello.
Hello.
Ayan, narinig po ba kami?
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah,
Ayan.
So,
We apologize for that
much.
ulit. Thank you so much again, Dr. Alvin De Guzman, who talked about enhancing oral and reading skills using online apps. And I hope that you have learned something, I guess so, kasi sobrang beneficial ng mga websites na present ni Sir Alvin.
That's true, Dexter. So at this part of the program, we are opening the chat box and the YouTube comment section for any questions, for any clarification to Dr. Alvin.
Ayan, so if you have any questions, you may put it in our chat box or comment section sa ating YouTube live. Ayan, so Alex, what I
We're
have...
also open for suggestions of topics that you want to take up later on. Right? If you want to further enhance maybe like reading speed, like how to enhance reading speed and techniques on speed reading, we can also focus on those.
Definitely, sir. Yeah, if you have any suggestions about the topics that you would like to learn, and I would like to highlight something. What sir said earlier, that practice makes us consistent.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things then na tumatak sa akin.
As a student leader, we are not born to be great. I mean, that's a quotation that others are born great, but others are born with practice. Ayan. So we must practice to continue speaking kasi it's also with practice, we must incorporate it with curiosity. I myself reads, especially we have a research now, focuses on fillers and all-purpose words. So upon reading, we may encounter words that are very unfamiliar to us. So we must be curious about what's the meaning of it. For example, the word demarcation, the word quintessential. There are certain words that it's really highfalutin, I may say, or really deep in spelling, but its meaning is really beneficial for us. It's for us to decipher and to look further about the information, and we may look up to it with the websites that Dr. Alvin have presented earlier, especially with reading. Most especially that based on the researches that Philippines is one of those who have a very low comprehension, and hopefully we are one of those catalysts who would fight that research that here in the University of Makati we promote comprehension and reading skills for us to be VUCA-proof. There you have it.
Ayun, one of the things na tumatak sa akin during the talk is that we should be fittest. Kasi diba, survival of the fittest. Sabi nga, confidence is not something you're born with. It's a skill na kailangan lagi mong dinedevelop. And as you've said, student leaders, we need to build that confidence talaga. At hindi naman pagkagising natin, uy, I'm a student leader.
Yeah,
So,
like that.
it's something na kailangan nating i-build up through the years and experience ng mga pinupuntahan nating ventures.
Ayan, so do we have any questions coming from the YouTube live or the comment section? Questions or suggestions, you may put it there. And please, tech team, please, can we check? And I hope that topic would make us really VUCA-proof. Diba? Like, yours truly is someone, like for example, when I was in grade 2, I would like to share this experience. When I was in grade 2, my teacher told me that the correct pronunciation of choir is choir. So the correct pronunciation is chore. So as I graduate elementary, my knowledge about the pronunciation of choir is choir. So upon grade 7, since I became a member of the choral in Togo High School. Ayan,
That's
so
a new information.
that is when I knew the correct pronunciation of choir. And then when I tried to be trained to be an English teacher in a specific organization, there is Dr. Alvin have mentioned this earlier. It's not just only the pronunciation; it's about the stress that we put. For example, the word communication. Some might say communication. Yeah, there you have it. So, yeah, the word communication. So there are different stresses that might have a different meaning.
Okay.
Ayan. So do we have any questions, suggestions coming from the chat box, tech team? Ayan. So going once, going twice, going thrice. Hearing none, let us now proceed with the program. We will now be proceeding with the awarding of certificate for our speaker. And to present the certificate, may we now call on Miss April Liano.
Hello, good morning, UMak community students. Good morning po. on this juncture. Thank you very much, Professor Alvin De Guzman, for answering our invitation and agreeing to give our students a very useful talk about oral and reading skills, or improving their oral and reading skills. Thank you very much, Sir Alvin. And with that, we are proud to give you your certificate. The certificate, please. There. Ay, wala pa pala. So yun. I hope maraming natutunan ng mga estudyante natin for today's session. And I hope as well that you're also going to make use of everything that you have learned from Dr. De Guzman in your future endeavors as students. So there you go here. So here's just a sec. So the certificate of appreciation through the given by the University of Makati Technology-Based Learning, or TBL Hub, would like to present the certificate of appreciation to Christopher Alvin De Guzman for sharing his invaluable insights and expertise in the webinar series with the theme Future Skills for a VUCA-proof Workplace, given this 26th day of October 2022 at JP Rizal Extension, JP Rizal Extension, West Rembo, University of Makati. Signed, Professor Stanley Fernandez, Director of the TBL Hub, and signed by Dr. Elixir C. Ramos, Vice President for Academic Affairs and OIC President of the University of Makati. Thank you very much, Sir Alvin De Guzman, and congratulations for a job well done for today. Thank you po.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share my knowledge, and thank you very much for the invitation. God bless you all. So we go to the second part. So TBL Hub team will take charge of the output. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Christopher Allen
Alvin.
Sorry. Thank you. Once again, thank you, Dr. for Christopher Alvin De Guzman and Miss April Liano.
Ayan. So, we would like to thank Sir for that very informative. Let me remove my glasses again. Because I really need glasses. As I've mentioned earlier, guys, that this would be a webinar workshop. So at this juncture, we will now be proceeding with a workshop, and this output would serve as your certificate for this webinar workshop. So later on, we will be giving further instructions about it. But for now, let us see what would be the workshop proper. All right, so based here on our end, Raj. Ayon, there you go. So proceeding with the workshop, step 1, go to rewordify.com.
Step 2, select text from your class handout or choose a website that you want to reword. The text must have words that are difficult to understand. Paste the text or the URL, then press the Rewordify text.
The step 3 would be go through the generated output and check the highlighted text.
And step 4, share your thoughts about Rewordify.
Again, you would like to repeat that again. You may take a screenshot of this. First step 1 is go to rewordify.com.
Step 2, select text from your class handout or choose a website that you want to reword. The text must have words that are difficult to understand. Paste the text or the URL, then press the Rewordify text.
Step 3, go through the generated output and check the highlighted text.
Share your thoughts about Rewordify.
There you have it. So as mentioned earlier, we will be picking 5 participants who will be sharing what they have seen in their modules about your Wordify, and they will be receiving an incentive.
Yeah.
Credits to our TBL Hub team. Ayan, so make sure to navigate through your modules. Make sure that the words are really unfamiliar with you. I hope that this would help you guys to understand further your modules. That is why the TBL Hub really wanted you to look for words within your module for you to have a better understanding with your lessons.
Once again, ibabalik natin yung kanina, di ba? Practice makes consistency.
Yes.
So, this workshop will help us, guys, to practice yung kaninang pinag-usapan natin, to practice our oral communication.
And by the way, we'll be giving you 30 minutes to look for the word. And it's now 10:35. Yeah, you may say within, or you may say sa ating Zoom
Or YouTube Live.
YouTube Live. Ayan, so as I have seen, naging ilan yung viewers natin. Sorry, I have to wear my glasses.
We have 260 on our Zoom.
Yeah, so and
And
181 from the YouTube Live. Ayan, so I hope that our participants would participate in this. Ayan, because this would serve as your certificate for this webinar workshop.
And I think the first 5, as you've said earlier, Dexter, will receive
Prizes.
yeah. So,
Ayan, so what would be the prize, ma'am? Is it Gcash?
house and lot.
House and lot. Free access daw po sa TBL.
So,
Ayan.
the first 5 who'll share their experience sa ating rewordify.com or sa ating workshop will receive a TBL merchandise.
TV, mahirap yun. Ayan, so again, we'll be giving you at least 30 minutes to check. Sorry, I have to wear my glasses again. Ayan, to check within your modules and to apply what you have learned with the Wordify.com. So again, go to Wordify.com, select text from your, Raj, can you, ayan, it's inverted. Ayan, select from your class handout or choose a website that you want to reword. The text must have words that are difficult to understand. Paste the text or the URL, then press the Wordify text.
Step 3, go through the generated output and check the highlighted text. Step 4, share your thoughts about your Wordify.
Again, we'll be selecting 5 participants to share what they have seen in their handouts or from a website that they wanted to Wordify, and then share your thoughts about your Wordify.com. And I hope that it is not the day that we'll be using their Wordify.com. Again, just a disclaimer, hindi pa natin this Wordify is not our sponsor. And it's just part of the lecture to help us really understand the words that we encounter in our daily lives, most especially that we read our modules and handouts.
I think Rewordify would be useful, lalo na sa akin. Kasi almost all of our subjects, mayroon kaming binabasa na chapters for, I am a psychology major, so iba't ibang subjects is may iba't ibang pinapabasa sa amin. So, I think Rewordify is one of the website na makakatulong sa amin para maintindihan namin yung mga chapters ng mas maigi, lalo na at sobrang technical ng mga pinag-uusapan dun sa libro namin.
Yeah. While waiting for the participants to answer the to do the workshop, let me share something. As mentioned earlier by Sir De Guzman about the fillers, my team actually researches about all-purpose words and fillers. So, based on the readings that I have had, there are 2 kinds of fillers. There is unlexicalized and lexicalized. So, unlexicalized, these are the yung yung mga non-words.
Yeah.
The lexicalized would be, for example, in that way, at that, like. those are the examples of the fillers that I have. That's a filler. That I've encountered. Ayan. So I hope you would guys find the exact words or your preferred words within your handouts or website that you wanted to rewordify. Ayan.
Actually, additional, actually, that's diverting to that. Nabanggit na sir kanina na yung sa mga coffee shops, given us na laging magkasama and such, we haven't gone to coffee shop, right? But nung nag-try kami, nag-aral, doon bumagsak. Hindi ko alam kung may something sa coffee shop. Pero laging parang naging asaran siya na kapag sa coffee shop ka nag-aral, for sure, bagsak ka.
Pero that's a generalized thing. Based on our experience lang naman na kasi sometimes there are students, not all, there are students who go to coffee shop for aesthetic. I mean, no shame at them kasi it's their expression. But, yung
It's a personal experience.
Yeah, it's personal
of us.
experience. Kasi for example, we went to coffee shop just for fun. Coffee lang. Coffee lang. Very
And
konyo. Ayan,
Story.
Coffee lang, mag-stories. We tend to see students or people who read books. And then they're wearing earphones or earpods at that. And then they take pictures and then they post it on their social media accounts. I think it's a good expression though.
It's so familiar.
Yeah.
I think most of my stories are like that.
It's a good expression because communication can really be either verbal or non-verbal.
Yeah.
Yung social media, yung Facebook stories is something that is counted, I think, on non-verbal. And as I said earlier, we can express a lot of things by art. Actually, in the College of Arts and Letters, we have a photo and art exhibit at Vista Mall Taguig. Nag-plug. We have a photo and art exhibit at Vista Mall Taguig. You may visit from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Grabe yung dedication dun sa hanggang 10 p.m. Ay, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So, ayan. Going back.
So, do we have any answers? Ayan, if you want to volunteer, there would be a incentive coming from based on my Ayan, based on my experience right now in using your Wordifier, there are some need
T.
What's the T? Naputol pa. So, si Ireneo John Bricks. Ayan, so Ireneo, can you open your... Are you done, by the way, looking for the words to rewordify? Ayan, Ireneo John Bricks. Hello. Ayan, naputol daw kasi yung sinasabi niya.
Ano yung T?
Ano yung T? Spill the tea.
We are ready for the tea.
Tatype ko po muna. Ayan, sige, construct yourself. Ayan.
So, while waiting for Ireneo, I remember I have so many books pa na hindi nababasa. And nabanggit ni Sir kanina na before you read the book, parang tinitingnan mo kung ilang page yung babasahin mo. And parang naging hobby na siya, na parang titignan mo, uy, hanggang page siya. Tapos kung ano yung naging hypnosis niya sa likod. And it's one of the interesting things na titignan mo muna sa mga libro bago mo talaga siya basahin. Kahit for academic or for leisure purposes siya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so most especially now we're still in virtual or hybrid. Sorry for that. In a hybrid situation, oral and reading skills should be something that we put focus into. Kasi there are tendencies that, for example, you send a message. If you send a message, there would be a tendency that there is a different tone within their heads. For example, kami ni Alex. Alex and I usually, what's that, phone? Get it first. And Alex and I tend to like have a conversation, and then at some point we assume that there's something wrong with the words, but that's not our intention.
Yeah.
So oral and reading is something that we put put effort into, because there are tendencies really na nami-misinterpret ng other people yung mga gusto nating sabihin. And it's part of the communication apprehension, actually. That's our research as well. And it's part of the communication apprehension that there is an anxiety of you to be evaluated by other people. So I hope that Rewordify and the topic that Dr. De Guzman mentioned earlier would really help us to overcome the fear when we speak, to broaden our horizons in understanding. Ayan, may nag-send ulit. Let me word this. Your Wordify, in my experience, as of the moment, is quite useful, I'd say. That's from Santos, ICBSBA, Oliver P. Ayan, from Pia Mariel Audar.
Based on my experience, Rewordify is very helpful because not only does it suggest other words that will make my sentence more understandable, it will also help us know how to pronounce certain words and even the meaning of the word itself. It is like all-in-one website for grammar checking.
Yeah, that's good thing. So, it's as part of the instruction of the workshop earlier. Please specify the word that you have seen on your handouts or that you have seen on a website that you wanted to Wordify, and then put that in our put that in the chat box, or you may open your microphone since we had a topic about oral communication. We had a topic for oral skill. Ayan, oral communication skill. So nakuha na daw po ni Alex yung phone niya. Ayan, so according to Alessandra May Basilio, I think this would be advantageous for everyone, lalo na if reading. Kasi in my experience, may mga terms. Asan na tayo? May mga terms
Na masyadong malalim.
for me, and I need to comprehend things para mas maintindihan ko yung story or text. Mine had shocking, and according to Pia Mariel Audar, binasa mo kanina, mine had shocking and truly terrible, which Wordify replaced as horrific. So there are highfalutin words kasi na hindi natin naiintindihan. Yun. So for example, yung quintessential. Basically, it's the meaning of it would be something that we really need. And then the word demarcation. The word demarcation really the synonym, I think the synonym of that word would be explain or describe. Parang demarcate, explain niya yung kung anong something na yun. So I think that the Wordify really helped you. So I think we could count Miss Outdoor as one of those who would be receiving an incentive coming from the TBL.
Please
Ayan,
take
so
note of
according
her.
to Ireneo, ayan, kompleto na yung tea niya. Go, Alex.
Based on Ireneo John Bricks, based on my experience right now in using Rewordify, there is some need of researching to be done for Rewordify translates words into literal meaning. I translate my module on MST and translate the word digital omnivore. In this context, omnivores in the digital world are people who use multiple devices, and Rewordify translate it into food eater. Anyway, Rewordify is useful, but there is still researching to be done.
Yeah, so I think that translates to everyone. Based on my experience, although it's really accessible for us to have the websites to go into, but there are certain circumstances that
There are limitations
that we really need to do it ourselves, to look for it. Kasi it would create a culture that that we wanted to something na instant. And learning is not about something that is instant. Again, based on what Dr. De Guzman said, practice makes us consistent. So we do not wait for something that is instant for us to be better.
And I think it is timely relevant since pandemic, ang daming words na lumalabas na bago. Like yan, yung digital omnivore. Parang ngayon lang siya nag-evolve since we are in the virtual or digital phase na talaga ng mundo. So, within this case, hindi fast-paced yung pag-learn natin at ng mga website na ito. So, we need to collaborate with them.
Yeah, so I think we could have Ireneo John Briggs as our second participant to receive an incentive coming from the TBL office.
Are there any comments, tech team sa ating YouTube?
Sa YouTube Live. Ayan, so
Okay.
wala pa rin daw. So, there's another, let me wear my glasses
From
again.
De La Cruz, Kristen Jersey F. For me, I was a bit confused as I only use a single word and it did not change the synonym of that word. However, after passing a paragraph from my module, it translated a few words which made the topic easier to understand and helped me widen my vocabulary more.
I think, however, pasting, not pasting. It's pasting. Yeah. Like he pasted the she rather. Is it a she? Kirsten, yeah. She pasted
I'm sorry for that.
she pasted a paragraph. So it basically summarized or there are specific words that Ola Bells Junior na lang. And it's part of communication, the evolution of language. Ayan, so Kirsten, may we know what was the word that you're trying to wordify earlier for us to, be able to analyze it as well? Ayan, according to Esther Toledo, at first it appears to be confusing, to be honest. It is kind of related to Quillbot app. The tool you can use for paraphrasing, or Wordify, on the other hand, detects the hard words in a sentence you enter and give it more words that can be related to it, like the word pathology. Rewordify gives disease study of disease. Ayan. So the word was pathology.
Actually, Esther Toledo is one of my classmates. Hi!
Ayan. So, what's pathology? It's part of your
Study
degree.
of disease.
So
Thank you, Rewordify.
Yeah. So I think who's that again?
Esther Toledo.
Esther Toledo. So we have now 3. We need 2 more. And don't worry, guys. Those who are not be called would be still sending your output to your class president, and then the class presidents will collate it or will collect it, and it will serve as a proof for the certificate for the evaluation. Ayan, so hi Alex, sabi ni Esther.
We have another entry from Oliver P. Santos. I would agree with Ireneo. I would just like to add that some of the words that were translated in the book that I choose, which is The Laws of the Human Nature by Robert Greene, is sadly interpreted rather than translated, hence giving a more confusing definition to it. For example, primal was interpreted as deeply emotional, but the correct context of the statement was pertaining to ancestral times.
Ayan, so I think that's the thing with communication and vocabulary. It's really wide that, as I've mentioned earlier, there's a tendency that it would be misinterpreted based on how you use it, or how it was used, or who used it. Yeah, we need one more pa. Ayan, so thank you so much, Oliver. At least there's a joke from our tech team. According to pathology, it is the study of dogs daw. Dog sapato. Ayan, so thank you so much to Oliver for pointing that out. It is something that, and also the one earlier who said that there is a mistranslated the words. Ayan, so actually it's really helpful to have this kind of discussion that we are seeing to two visions. For example, the positive and the negative side of the website. At least now we are able to apply what we have learned. That reading is something you really need to put effort into, since there are, although it's really is easy access, there's a tendency for it to be mistranslated really. And may dagdag sabi ni Pat Lesha,
I have pasted delayed as well as delinquent payments, which was expressed by Wordify as delayed as well as non-paid or non-paying payments.
ayan, so delayed as well, delinquent payments. Ayan, so I think this would really beneficial for those who are not yet paid with their tuitions. Ayan, so I think that's a good sentence to use. Ayan, so Patricia, how was your experience with Rewardify? I think Patricia is one of the officers of the Concircle, a local organization under my college. Ayan, sabi ni Nicole Angela Gomez, I tried using Rewardify in Rizal's poem, Felicitation. I can say that it's really useful because I understand it is a year. It translated the word placid, and Rewardify used it as calm and quiet. Salamat Rewardify, pwede na ako magpasa ng analysis and my Rizal subject. Ayan. See, Rewardify is really helpful for us to understand.
But again, it has limitations na since it's still a website. So please be mindful na lang and double check the words na ita-translate or i-rewardify niya for us.
Yeah, I think we already have 5. The first one would be Ireneo. Second is Miss Audar. Next is Kirsten.
Next is Miss Esther.
Esther, and then we have Patricia. But we're still waiting for Patricia to send how was her experience in terms of using Rewardify. Ayan, I hope you would learn something. And while waiting for Patricia's side on how was her experience using Rewardify. Ay, sino siya? At first, ay sorry. Ayan, may mga napuputol talaga. I would like to share this something na it's a word that we use every day and sometimes mispronounced. The word is. Sometimes we use it as is, but the correct pronunciation is. And then yung difference between this na THIS and then yung word na this, it is THESE. Ayan, so just to share. Ano yun daw? May tinatay pang ating tech team. Holy Grail ng students. Very true. Zabkiel. And how about po? Pesos?
I think this is your forte.
I think depending. Pero I think it's something that based on the Filipino accommodation kasi, on Filipino pronunciation, the word pesos is pesos. Not all of us tend to use that, but the pronunciation would be pesos. Based on the usual pronunciation that I'm reading. Pero kasi in Filipino accommodation, it's pesos. Ayan. Anong? Hala, may mali po ba ako? May mali po ba ako? Oh, it's not on Filipino accommodation pala. It's pinapa-arte lang talaga. 50,000 pesos.
Pesos.
Yeah. According to Miss Apriliana, ayan, our English major. Ayan.
Attache case.
Mhm.
Attache.
Attache. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This. Yeah, and then yung the word the and the. At first, I was trying... May free lecture pala here. At first, I was trying to according to Patricia, to answer yung experience or Wordify. At first, I was trying on a longer text from from a module, but it was hard for Wordify to identify certain texts. So I tried Wordifying on a phrase. So yes, we can use these tools
For academic purposes, but we should not rely on it 100%.
Yeah, as we have mentioned earlier, as students, it is part of our duty still to learn. Kasi yung learnings na meron ako, nadagdagan ni Miss ni Miss April. So, ayun. So, every day, it's, as they say, learning is constant. So, yun. Again, thank you so much to our participants. And just a reminder, Tech Team jot down naman ng mga ating 5 na participants na will be receiving incentives coming from the TBL Hub, and those who are not called, ayan, you may send your inputs to your class presidents for us to properly record it as for your evaluation and certificate. Ayan. So, is there any more comments from the YouTube Live? Tech team? Wala?
Okay,
Attendance?
if none, let's proceed to the awarding of certificates for our participants. Let's call on the Director of Technology-Based Learning, Director Stanley Fernandez.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Certificate.
And so again, we have Director Stan for the awarding of certificate for the participants as well as for the closing remarks. Ayan, take it away, sir, and Tech Team. While waiting for the Tech Team, di ba Alex, ang fresh ni Sir Stan?
May dahon pa sa gilid niya.
May frame. May accent si Sir Stan.
Webinar, and I also want to announce that I think by next semester, early next year, we will be joining the fray of the University Student Council for a series of webinars. So I just promised Alex that we will join also the capability building of the Student Council. That includes the capability building of the officers and also the rest of the student members in the university. So by next year, ang focus ng TBL will be student webinar, student training, etc. That's going to be our plan. So marami pa tayong pagsasamahan by next year. Right. Ano ba tayo sample ng certificate?
All right, so
Again, I'm going to make it in general na lang. This certificate is awarded to the students of the University of Makati who attended and listened to the webinar or topic of course discussed given this date of October 26, 2022, University of Makati, JT Rizal. And again, I would like to congratulate the students who attended. This is not
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Ayan. Mm-mm.
Once again, thank you, Director Stanley Fernandez, for the awarding of certificate and closing remarks. Yeah, it's one of the things na paghandaan ng ating mga Herons, ang series of webinars na ihahanda ni TBL Hub at ni USC Office.
Ayan. So, thank you so much, guys, for participating. And I hope you have learned something about enhancing oral and reading skills when using online apps.
Yeah.
Ayan. So, and then the evaluation link will be sent through our chat box.
And I think sa comment section then, we can pin the evaluation form sa ating YouTube Live.
Ayan, naka-live po tayo sa YouTube account ng Computer Society ng College of Computing and Information Sciences.
And they will have IT Olympics then. So for anyone interested, you may contact them or any officers of the CCIS, SC, and Computer Society.
Yeah. And support our events as well.
Ayan.
May pa-plug. Ayan, so are we settled with the evaluation link in the YouTube Live and then as well as the chat box? Ayan, so can we check further about the chat box?
Once again, our evaluation link will be sent to our chat box and the comment section of YouTube Live.
And then please make sure that you have accomplished the workshop because it is part of the evaluation as well as for the requirement for the certificate of this webinar workshop.
Lalo na it's important na may certificate tayo as of now kasi ang daming
and in
it's
college,
a preparation.
in college, it's important to collect certificates.
True.
Yeah, because it would be your edge. It would be our edge, actually, to have certificates in attending various webinars. And I hope that you would support the next webinar series or the next webinar as part of the webinar series of TBL Hub. Ayan, so tech team, are we settled with the evaluation links? There you have it, guys. Again, live from the TBL Hub office at the University of Makati. This is the webinar series of the TBL Hub office. Again, my name is Dexter Pinado from the College of Arts and Letters.
And I'm Alexandra A. Rosario from the College of Science.
And we thank you for attending this day's webinar. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.